The biggest thing for you to improve on, stepping up and being a starter?
I think everything. Playing the run, being started to run. Because I'm not as big of a guy, so being started to run and just everything. Improving at a fast rate. I think I got a lot to prove. So.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the After Effect Podcast. I'm your host, LeBron Stephen, but you can call me LB, LBZ, L Boogie, Big Brian, Brian, B Ryan, whatever your heart desires. Welcome to episode 23. We have a very, very, very special guest, entrepreneur Donnie Fletcher is on the show today. Again, Cleveland native. We were teammates in high school, entrepreneur now. Really excited to have him on just to talk everything, right?
Yo, what's good, bro?
What's up, man? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. My microphone acting up, man. How you been, bro?
I'm good, man. Chilling, man. How you been, man?
I've been good.
You out in LA now, right?
Yeah. So I'm typically back and forth from LA to Atlanta, just depending on what gigs I got booked.
Oh, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
How you like LA? How you like LA?
Man, it's cool, bro. It's just expensive.
Yeah, it's fuck, man. I'm in New York, man. This shit, like, they give you like a little ass closet. They charge you like 2-3 G's, man. Like, god damn, man.
Bro, I'm telling you, New York and LA, that's the top of the top as far as living. So the expenses is crazy.
Hell yeah. I was out there when I was training for like during the off season. I was in Long Beach.
Okay. Yeah.
When I was playing though, like in 2014. What part you in?
I'm at Koreatown.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm in Koreatown, but I got some friends that live in Long Beach, so I've been out to Long Beach quite a few times.
That weather nice though.
You know that.
That winter, man. Like out here in New York, man, that shit, it ain't like Cleveland cold, but it get cold, man.
Yeah. I've been to New York in the wintertime a couple of times, so like, yeah, I know it's because it's not on the water, so like you say, it's not like Cleveland, but it's similar.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. But like I said, After Effect podcast. I feel like as athletes, we all have some kind of after effect. We got 20 plus years of experience, wins, losses, injuries. So many mixed emotions. So this is just creating that platform for us to have a voice, kind of tell our stories and try to push the sports culture forward as far as the transition out of sports. I always felt like that transition out of sports was always minimized. Like we've been doing some 20 plus years, and then someone tells us that it's over and we just supposed to like go get a job and just be cool and be happy.
Nah, bro, I already know, man. I went through that phase, man, where it's
exactly.
like, you understand like football is over. And like you said, man, you've been doing this since you were like 8-9 years old.
Exactly.
And it's like literally your whole life has been consumed around just football.
I'm telling you.
Football, whether it's like during season, off season, and then it's like you wake up and it's like boom, it's just over. It's like, what do you do now?
And you just supposed to figure it out and be cool with it.
Yeah, man. Like for sure. Like, I mean, it took me like a good 2-3 years to like make that adjustment.
Bro, I'm telling you, same here.
It's a different world, man.
Exactly, it's a different world, and that's why I started this pod, just for us to have a voice, man. But before I dive into your childhood, I always feel like we are more than athletes. So let's talk a few current events, man. We got Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Who you got taking home the chip?
Oh, you already know. What you mean? You already know. I'm LeBron all day, straight from Cleveland.
Yeah,
you already know, man. I be telling people out, like, because a lot of people here in New York is like Knicks fans. They suck. Now they got the Nets out here in Brooklyn, and they got like Kyrie
and KD.
KD.
Next year it could get.
Next year it's gonna
be crazy.
It's gonna be different.
Yeah.
I'm LeBron all day. You already know I'm going with the Lakers.
Exactly. Same here, man.
They don't have a chance. They're gonna sweep them, man.
I think so. If they win tonight, the broom's coming out for sure. They're gonna finish that in Game 4. I always tell guys, I just can't understand how, if you from Ohio, from Cleveland, Northeast Ohio to be exact, how you can't be a LeBron fan. Like, he's literally been the best player in the world for like the last 8 years, and it's only one of him, and he's from where we from. So how could you be from where we from and not be a fan of his?
And not even that. Like, I remember when I was like, and I tell people this all the time, I remember when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. He was like in high school, like selling out the Gundarina, like in high school games. I'm like, I saw his whole progress, like you know what I mean? I was like literally like a witness, like they say, like I witnessed like him like from high school go all the way up through the pros to, and then him having all of that pressure. Like they was talking about, he was Michael Jordan, like
I'm telling
fresh out of 18 years old, coming out of high school,
and look what he did. Exactly, and look what he did. He lived up to it.
Like
it's crazy, bro. I still remember. I was 10 years old. It was 1999 when I was in 5th grade. LeBron was in the 9th grade, and my father took me to a game. He took me to a St. Vincent Mary game. He said, LeBron, with your same name, he said he in the 9th grade, and they said he might be the best player in the world. And he was my father, a jokester. So he said, man, but this dude slew-footed. Like he said, he walked with his feet out like he said, I never seen a dude that can hoop like that. So I want to see if the hype is real. So we went to the game. Brown was 14, ugly fro, no facial hair, went stupid. 30, 12, and 12. He was 14, bro. Like, and I'm in the stands, like mouth open, because this dude got the same name as me. Like, ever since then, like you say, just watching his progress. 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, sell out the gun arena, then go to the league, and just to be in year 17, bro. It's like I still can't believe it, just everything that he done.
And not even that, like he don't have no blemishes whatsoever. He hasn't got no
baby
mamas came out the woodworks, like
not one,
never
no
in
drama.
trouble. Like he's clean, like just like all the way through. Like I'm like, wow.
It's almost like it's not real.
That's tough.
It's almost like it's not real because that shit usually don't happen. You know, with Michael Jordan, he had all the stuff with the infidelity and the gambling and the smoking and drinking.
They're gonna find something. You know that, man.
And then with Kobe, he was cheating and stuff like that. God bless the dead to Kobe. But like you say, like, man, they haven't found anything. It's so crazy, man. So talk about your last 7 months, man. How have you handled COVID? Obviously working full time, man. Also being a business owner. What has that been like the 7 months? This literally has probably been the weirdest year since we've been alive, right?
Oh my God, man. Being like a business owner, like it's been like crazy, like, you know, because I'm in the digital marketing space. So a lot of my clients like went under, like they went bankrupt. You know, like around like April, like that's when like stuff really started hitting here in New York City, like when it really got for real, when they start shutting stuff down. And I'm like, it's you know, I'm sending out inventories and I'm like, it's time to pay up. And they're like,
it's payday, man.
No money. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, man, like, it's crazy, man. But,
I can only imagine.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I went back to Cleveland for like a couple months.
Okay.
Just to get away because I was like stuck in my apartment because they shut everything down in New York City. Like you couldn't do anything except for like go outside and walk and run.
Yeah, or probably go to like the grocery store, but that's literally all you could do.
That was it. Yeah, and then they had it where it was like you had like certain times you can go to the grocery store. Like it was like long lines, so it got real bad like around like April, May, June. So I just went back home once they opened up Cleveland. So I was there for a couple months. I just got back like a month ago. So
okay, yeah. It was the same kind of vibes out in LA. I had family in Arizona, so I went there because, like you say, literally LA was couldn't go anywhere but the grocery store. Like that was it. So I'm like, man, let me get up out of here. But then, you know, Arizona is a lot hotter. You maybe be able to move around a little bit, and then they shut that down. I mean, everywhere got shut down, so it was just. And like you said, I went back to Cleveland for a little while too during the summer, spent some time with family because I hadn't been back. But man, it's just a crazy time, man. So last take before we go on your childhood, man. What do you think about Deion Sanders going to an HBCU? So imagine this, because you used to be a DB. Imagine Deion Sanders walking into your living room and saying, Donnie, like, I want you in my secondary. Like, but he had Jackson State. He had an HBCU. Like,
signing? What you mean? I'm signing. You have to. If Deion Sanders come into your living room and he's offering you a scholarship, no matter where he's at, that's the best to ever do it. Like,
exactly.
If you listen to what he do, you know what I mean. Work hard, of course.
Exactly.
Continue to get there, you know, and do all the right things. You don't get a shot. Like, you know what I mean. If you know, you get plays and stuff like that. So. Definitely, like, you know, that's a good look for HBCUs, and that's a good look for him too, though, because,
and
again, him starting his coaching career, you know, as a head coach. I know he was coaching his son in high school, but you have to start, you know,
somewhere,
at a lower level. But he'll work his way up, I think, eventually, and get into like the higher ranks. You know,
exactly. And I think
big schools.
I think what he's doing is so strategic, right? Because he worked for ESPN and NFL Network for so many years, 10 to 15 years. So now games or on those networks, or if he want to try to get in the negotiating room for those contracts to get more of their games on those networks, he know who to call.
Yeah,
He know owners to call. He know who to call to get those contracts. So I really think it's about to turn the tide for HBCUs. Man, I think it's major.
definitely, and especially like from a recruit, like you said, from a recruiting standpoint, like you got Mississippi State down there in Mississippi, which
Yeah.
is in the SEC, but like he's gonna be pulling a lot of those players that usually would go to those schools.
You know, oh, they going there
So they're gonna
for
have some.
sure.
They're gonna have some players for sure.
Exactly,
Like,
especially because Dion got that swagger, and so people know that like they can go there and be them. Just be themselves. Like they don't have to conform to any kind of culture. They can literally just be who they are. Like, yeah, it's. I can't wait to see like what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like what kind of vibes he brings down there. It's gonna be cool to see.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk Cleveland culture, man. We're both Cleveland kids, growing up in Cleveland. Talk about growing up in Cleveland in the '90s. Like what influences or mentors did you have growing up in the '90s?
Yeah, so for me, I grew up like on St. Clair, 79th and St. Clair, for like the majority of my life. Guess I'll take it back. Like I actually, when I was like 1 to 9, like I was in foster care. I actually lived in Youngstown.
Okay.
And I ended up moving back to Cleveland when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
And like I said, I was on 79th and St. Clair. You know what I mean? Typical story of a kid in the inner.
Yeah, those trenches, in the trenches.
I looked up to, you know what I mean, the guys in the neighborhood, my cousins doing what they do, whether it was drug dealing, robbing, whatever it may be. Sports was always big though. Everybody knows, like in Cleveland, like football is like a religion, man. I tell that all the time. Like every kid, when you 8, 9, 10 years old, man, you playing Muni League, you playing Pop Warner, and you know what I mean? Your dream is to get a scholarship and to, play in the NFL, but it's a lot of pressure on you, you know what I mean, once you get to the high school level because it's expected. Like every boy in high school in Ohio is like working to get a scholarship. Like,
exactly.
You know the grind. You already know the grind.
Yeah, you know it.
It's like, it's just like that added pressure that I guess you could say like the community or society in Cleveland puts on you, that you have to deal with as a high school kid. I even look at like my little brother now who's at Bedford.
Okay.
He's a senior. He's going, well, this is a senior. He's wrapping up his senior year. And, he's going through that same process of like, what school I'm going to go to. And, I'm getting scholarships from this school or that school. So it's bringing back a lot of memories in regards to like, going through that process, which is crazy. The recruiting process is crazy.
Right. Man,
especially back when we were there, like at Glenville back in those days, because it was like every school was at, knocking on the doors. Like
I'm telling you. So I'm telling you. That was actually my next question, man. You being highly touted going into your senior year, end up being, the number 33 ranked player in the state of Ohio in 2008. And just what went into your decision to go to Boston College, right? Because we Midwest kids, and for me growing up, I always wanted to play in the Big Ten. Obviously, Ohio State. I always wanted to play in the Big Ten. I always knew if it wasn't going to be Ohio State, it was going to be somewhere in the Big Ten. And I feel like you were, I think, probably one of the first ones to kind of like step out and do your own thing. You decided on Boston College. I remember you visiting Iowa. I remember me and Bruce hosted you. But ultimately, you chose Boston College, and it's crazy, bro. Because thinking back on it, I remember I was being recruited by Duke my senior year. I remember the defensive coordinator. His name was Ted something. He used to come to the school all the time. He used to come to me in Big B classroom all the time, just sit in our classroom. And I just remember, man, if I could, I would consider them more because just getting a degree from Duke, come on now, you can get any job you need, but only thing was sorry, like Duke.
Yeah.
Duke was terrible in football, so it's like, and then it's like, no, man, West kid, like I'm playing in the Big Ten, bro. Like, come on, Duke.
Yeah.
Like that's dope, but it's just getting older and really understanding life now. Like I should have considered them more. So talk about what went into your recruiting process and what gave you the courage to be you and to stand tall and to go in the ACC. Like, okay, it's cool, I got all these Big Ten offers, but I'm gonna go over here and do my own thing. I'm confident that I can go do that.
Yeah, so it was a lot that kind of went into like the recruiting process for me. Like one of the biggest things was I wanted to obviously play early. Every kid in high school,
of course,
go and get an opportunity to, get some, if not start, get an opportunity to compete for a starting job.
Exactly.
So I think Boston College, that was one of the biggest reasons was Boston College, when they were recruiting me, they kind of kept it real with me. They weren't, saying, oh, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. They said, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity to compete for a job. Now you could, it's your job to come in here, work hard, and take the job and make it your own.
Right.
I think that was a huge selling tool for me, was just the opportunity to play early. I ended up graduating early and enrolling there as well, which was another big thing for me.
Yeah.
They were open for me to do that. That was something that I wanted to do. And then, of course, academics. I think that was huge. I always knew, like, whether I played 10 years in the NFL, it's going to end at some time. Let's say if I had a 10-year career in the NFL and, I retire at 31, 32 years old, I still have, 40, 50 years of life to live.
Right.
So it's like I wanted to just make sure I had, those skills in regards to
that skill set.
Yeah, that skill set outside of football. That's something that, and my uncle was a huge part of that. That's who kind of took me in. My mother passed away when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And, I was kind of going down the wrong path during that time. And my uncle ended up like scooping me up, bringing me in and kind of teaching me structure, discipline, the right way of how to approach football.
Right.
Like work ethic and stuff like that. So he was a huge part in kind of guiding me from a football standpoint and the recruiting process as well. But I think it was definitely the academics and the opportunity to play in the ACC. I thought at that time, of course, the Big Ten is like a huge conference. Don't get me wrong. But from a defensive back standpoint, I kind of looked at, okay, where are most defensive backs getting drafted at that time?
Yeah. That's true.
I was just looking. I was like, like they're mostly coming from, your Florida States, the ACC. At that time, I think that the top 3 or 4 corners in the draft coming out that year was in the ACC. I think it was a guy from Wake Forest. It was the guy who from BC actually. He ended up getting hurt his senior year. And it was just like all ACC, and I knew it was like a passing league. So I was like, okay, at least if I can get an opportunity to get on the field as a true freshman, and I have 4 years to, 3 to 4 years to compete in the ACC.
Right. Yeah, that's
top
major.
Receivers, top, quarterbacks.
Right.
I'll get an opportunity, at least a look,
at least a look,
from the NFL. So that was a huge part. At the time, BC was top, I think that was the year when Matt Ryan had brought him up to like number 2 in the country.
That's when he went crazy.
There was a lot of like factors that kind of, kind of like went into it. But I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that like I wasn't scared when I did it. Like you said, I was like one of the first people to kind of go out and kind of leave that pipeline. So it was kind of like scary going to a big city like Boston, coming from Cleveland. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I was just about to ask you that, bro. Like, was there any anxiety, especially going there? Because like you said, you're the first person to do it, but also the academics are rigorous. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. And I gotta be completely honest. That's also why I didn't go to Duke, because I'm like, and obviously I had a high GPA. That's the only reason it was best with me. I was always in major work honors classes. But to try to juggle that level of academics, like, and football, I mean, I was kind of scared. Like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that, bro. So, what did you have any anxiety walking in? Like, man, all right, I'm gonna have to perform on the field, and I got to perform in the classroom, and the class is gonna be super, super hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing was, for me, it was like I really didn't know. I had an understanding, like, people say, oh, this is what college is. Yeah. But you don't know until you get there and actually go through it, because everybody's journey is completely different.
Right.
So I think in a way I didn't really have a full understanding of what I was getting myself into until I got there. But the thing was, for me, was I actually like graduated. Like, I was sitting in class in Glenville like on a Wednesday. And then like that next like Monday, I was like sitting in class in Boston College, like in a college class. So it was that fast. It was that crazy. Like, it was like, so for me, it was just like a total like culture, like change, like actually doing work, as you know, like at Glenville, you know, like we were doing like worksheets and stuff like that. No disrespect, because I love Glenville to death.
Exactly. No disrespect,
I
but
gotta be real, like
the level of
like,
education, it's not. Yeah, it's not up there.
It wasn't like at all compared to when I got to Boston College. And
Oh,
they're
you
like,
know it.
They just give you a syllabus and they like, hey, you know, you got a paper due tomorrow. You got to read 2-3 books.
Man, I'm telling
like
you.
a 5-page paper. They give you like a sentence, like, okay, write a 5-page paper about this. Like,
right.
Man, what the hell? Like, you know, like,
so how are you able to make that transition? I mean, obviously, I know as an athlete, as a football player, we had those resources as far as different learning centers, you know, where we did our work at, tutors and stuff like that, and administrators to help us. But how did you make that transition so smoothly?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, again, just like you said, like I took the tutoring and stuff like that, like early on. Like I wasn't afraid to, you know what I mean, go in and say, hey, I need help. And I think they had a full understanding too, in regards to like where I was coming from an academic standpoint. And they knew what type of, you know, not only player, but what type of person they were getting when they recruited me. Yeah. So they understood it wasn't going to be like, you know what I mean, smooth selling when it came from an academic standpoint in regards to the resources that I would need. So I think that was another reason that kind of made me want to go there as well, is because they take academics very seriously at Boston College. Like it's literally academics first and like athletics
football second.
Like professors used to be like mad you played for football, like for real, like no special privileges there. You play sports, like they're like, dude, you're not even supposed to be here. If it wasn't for football, you wouldn't be here. That type of energy. Say that, but that's the type of energy they would, you know, kind of project. So it was you had that kind of going against you. You know what I mean? Again, like I said, going to a city like Boston, coming from Cleveland, it's like night and day. It's a big city. You know what I mean? It's predominantly white. I'm just going to keep it real, like, you know what I mean? Me coming from an all-black environment, you know, that was another, like, kind
culture
of
shock.
Being in a classroom with, like, all white kids and all these kids are valedictorians of their school, you know, like, and you like, man. Like,
I know that was tough, because I tell guys all the time, that was the toughest piece for me, going from, you know, the city of Cleveland, which we never, ever went to school with any white people other than maybe the few teachers that taught at our schools. To go from that to, you know, obviously I was in Iowa City, where I'm in a class with 200 people, and I may be the only black guy, or maybe another black guy that play basketball. And for you,
I'm the only black guy. I'm the only black guy.
But for you, I can only imagine what that was like, bro. Because one, you went in the class with all white people, but two, they're super smart, so they probably had that like energy, like, oh, who are you? Like, you know what I mean? Because they at Boston College, and you know, them kind of people, they walk around with a certain, like, you know, with their khakis, like, I go to Boston College, you know what I mean? So I can only imagine, like, you know, how that transition was. But I mean, obviously, man, you made it look easy, and I was doing some research on you. I saw you made your first start on September 20th of your first year, man. So just walk me through that timeline. Like you said, like you kind of just did. One Wednesday, you at the Ville taking your last class, saying bye to everybody. The next Monday, you at Boston College taking your class, and then taking classes. Then they maybe for a couple months after that, you literally starting playing special teams and starting as an 18-year-old in the ACC. Like what? How were you able just to handle all that? I asked Kyle Jefferson the same thing, because, you know, he went he went crazy his freshman year, and he just was like, man, honestly, I don't know how I did it. Like, I don't have an explanation.
The same for me. I feel like, truthfully, like, I think Glenville, like, really helped me out a lot in regards to when it comes to football. Like, just competing, because as you know, like, when we were there, like, at that point in time, like, we
were stacked. You was competing every day.
12, 13, like, dudes going D1. So you were in practice playing against college players every day.
I'm telling you,
You know? So I think from a competitive standpoint, the mindset that I had going in, I think I had the right mindset, which gave me an opportunity to come in and compete right away. You know, and I took it very seriously. Like, I had a mission. I was like, okay, I want to start. I want to at least play as a true freshman. And when I first got there, like, I remember, like, the first practice, because I got there during spring ball. So I'm like 18 years old, and I remember, like, the first practice I was out there with the threes, and I'm just like, man, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the threes, like, what I do, what I got myself into, like, you know, because they tell you recruiting, they didn't say that I was gonna start right away, but they said I was gonna compete for a starting job. So I'm like, man,
yeah, you got to start
I just
somewhere.
understood, yeah, but you have to start somewhere. But as an
Mhm.
18-year-old, you're not thinking like that. You thinking like
Right.
I'm about to get in right with the ones, and you know what I mean? I'm about to just
Right.
ball out.
Right.
But once I realized, like, you know what I mean? All right, you really gotta, get down and grind and just get better every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mentality I kind of took. I was like, every day I'm gonna find something I'm gonna get better at.
Better at, yeah.
And I'm gonna compete every time. You throw the ball my way, I'm gonna make the tackle, I'm gonna pick it off, I'm gonna break it up. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like I understood my role on the team because at that time they had just won the ACC, or they went to the ACC championship the year before.
Okay,
They
yeah.
had a lot of returning starters.
So they already had a good team.
They already had a good defense, a good team and a good defense, So I kind of understood my role, and I like kind of took on that role. Like, you know what I mean? When I come in, I'm going to be the energy guy. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to bring energy, whether it's I get in for one series, one snap, or if I'm starting a game, I'm going to come in, I'm going to run to the football, I'm going to make plays,
of course, yeah.
everybody hyped up, you know what I mean? So I feel like I understood my role very early.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me out a lot. But I got through in the fire like quick. Like I ended up playing like, you know what I mean, like the second half of the first game of the year. And then I didn't start the first game, but I ended up the second game when we played Georgia Tech. I ended up like going in because the guy who I was competing with for the starting job, he got hurt like the first series.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up playing like the whole game.
Pretty much the whole game, yeah.
And we mostly was a zone team, but that game, because they did a lot of triple option, we played straight man. So I had what was it, Thomas, the dude from the Broncos? Like, I had to cover him man to man, like
Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, like the whole game. So
yeah, like, and that's when they was lethal. That's when they went like 11-2. They went 11 because we played Georgia Tech in the Orange Bowl, in the BCS Orange Bowl down in Miami.
Yeah.
That's when they had Nesbitt as the quarterback, Jonathan Dwyer running back, Demaryius Thomas. Yeah, they had Demaryius Thomas at receiver. They had a squad. Yeah.
So I had to kind of like grow up, I think, pretty quick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got through right into the fire. But like I said, I think I was ready because I always I think my work ethic, you know what I mean, and my competitive nature, like mentally, like I had that mentality, like I had that dog mentality, like I don't care who you are, like I don't care what round you going in, like I don't care like how many touchdowns you had last week,
and that's just like that.
You got to show me, like,
right?
You know
that's that Midwest. That's that Midwest Cleveland. Like getting out the mud, blue collar. That's just like that's how we are. That's how we build. We don't care who you are. Like we go compete against you. We don't care.
I'm like, I always had that mentality. Like you got to show me. Like you can have 3 touchdowns the week before, whatever. But until you do it to me, you got to earn my respect. I think that's the mentality that I had. Like, and I think that's what helped me out like tremendously. Like, you know what I mean?
Definitely, man. What moments stand out to you during your career at Boston College? Obviously, I mean, just growing up, I mean, you played against Notre Dame, you played against Clemson down in Death Valley, Florida State. I mean, just you playing against all these teams, that's kind of like just like a dream when you coming up. Like, man, if I remember when we played Oklahoma in the bowl game my senior year, that was like a cool moment because Oklahoma was always like a big university, man. So what moments stood out to you during your career at Boston College? Just playing all those kinds of teams and that kind of competition every week. I
think the biggest like aha moment where I was like wide eyes, you know how they say like you were wide eyed young freshman was Florida State. I think it was probably like it was like later on the season. So it was like week 8, week 7.
Okay.
But we both were competing for because we're on the same side of the ACC. I think it's the coastal side. But the winner basically would go to the ACC championship. So it was like a night game. Like it was on like a Thursday night.
Right. ESPN probably, I'm sure.
ESPN. And like the way Florida State Stadium is set up is like their locker room is underneath the stadium. So you got to come out and you come out in the stadium, but everyone's like above you, like over top of you.
Okay.
So like you come out for warm-ups and there's nobody there. You go in, you get dressed, you come out, man.
And it's
all
packed.
And it was a blackout. It was like the blackout game. So
wow.
The whole stadium was black. They had on black jerseys, and we come out.
They had the horses out there, the Indians on the.
I'm looking up like, man. I was like, wow, I'm here. Like that was like, I was like, man. And then you see the dude with with the on
spear,
the horse.
on the horse with the spear.
And they come and they throw it by the sideline, so they come throw it by. I'm like,
man, bro.
All right, I'm like, it is what it is. I'm like, man, but when I was coming out, I was just like,
I can only imagine.
It's like on TV, like
yeah.
That moment, yeah,
that's crazy. I literally like that's why I remember seeing that moment growing up for the state. Like, man, for you to be there in that, man, like I know that was a crazy feeling, bro.
And it was such a big game at that time because, like I said, the winner was the championship. But I mean, I played well, had an interception, I did what I did. I wasn't never nervous, but it was just one of those times where I literally like had an out of body experience. Like, wow, like I'm here right now. I think that, and then the Notre Dame game, my freshman year too was a big game for me because I ended up getting a game winning interception like at the end of the game to seal the game.
Versus Notre Dame, that's big.
Yeah, and because they recruited me too. Like they like weren't sure if they wanted to offer me, if they weren't going to.
Same here. They never offered me, but I heard from them.
Yeah, I heard from them a lot. I was like, they were recruiting me pretty hard. So like, it was like a kind of, and I knew all of their coaches, so it was kind of like a, you know what I mean, a revenge game for me, like, you know, because I felt like they should have offered me, like, So,
was it crazy just seeing those like gold shiny helmets like in front? Are you playing against them? I just remember growing up in the '90s, Notre Dame, all the teams is like, man, they just seem so like just really high level. They always had some of the best players. Like,
like even playing in my sophomore year and my senior year, we played at Notre Dame, which was an experience in itself because everyone's talking about like it's a Catholic school, it's all like good boys and all that, man. But that is not a place you want to play, man.
Oh, they get rowdy there too, huh?
Man, what? Man, first off, they had a band playing like right in front of the locker room, like literally right in front of the locker room. So you open your door and the band's there playing. You
right
got
there.
Little kids, like when you coming up, like driving up on the bus, they drop you off like right in tailgate. So you got kids cussing you out, man. All type of crazy shit. And then they put you all the way at the top. And then they have their fans on the sideline. So like you go and break up a pass, make a tackle, you run into their like fans. So it's like it's a crazy environment, man.
I can only imagine, man.
On top of you.
Yeah.
Those were like the biggest like games for me. Tech was our rivals too. But like when we played there my sophomore year too, like I was like, man, because their stadium's huge. They do like the Enter the Sandman coming out.
Yeah.
And then of course Clemson running down the hill is like
right. Yeah, Death Valley.
I was trying to see like, yo, like I want to see really But I mean, I had a great experience though. I think I don't have any regrets. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was everything I thought it was going to be and more. Like, you know
man,
because during the recruiting process, it's like, they tell you all these things and they, promise you all these things, and some of that stuff don't end up, you know what I mean?
Happening, a lot of it don't end up happening.
So I think I was fortunate enough to kind of live out a lot of the things that I dreamed about, which I'm truly grateful for. So
definitely, man. And I'm happy and excited for you that you were even able to experience that, man. So let's transition to the 2012 NFL draft. Obviously, you were 3-4 year starter at Boston College, and then you go to the Senior Bowl. And so just talk about that whole process. Did you think you were going to get drafted? What were you hearing from your agent? Then obviously 2012 NFL draft. I think you didn't get drafted, but you ended up getting picked up by the Jets. Just talk about that whole process.
Yeah, so the draft process for me was tough. I guess I'll start back to my junior year. So I had like a real big junior year. I had like 5 interceptions, made all league. And I had an opportunity to leave. Like, I think, you do the draft grade thing, and it was like 2nd, 3rd round.
Yeah.
So, like, I decided to come back. I made that decision during, like, the bowl game. I remember, like, I had to, like, meet with all the coaches and stuff like that. And I sat down with my family, and I was like, I think I want to come back. I came to BC. Of course, I want to go to the NFL, but I came to BC to get a degree.
Of course.
I wanted to go, 3 and out. I could have just went anywhere else.
Right.
Some of the other schools, so that was a huge point. So when I came back, like I actually when I came in, I was like the top corner in the draft, one of the top 2-3 corners, like going into my senior year.
Yeah.
And I ended up breaking like 3 bones in my back, like
man,
training camp. So like, Yeah,
Damn.
like so it was rough. So
That's
I was
the
like,
worst.
man, tell me about it. So I went through like the whole season, like in and out, dealing with injuries. I ended up messing up my AC joint in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And it just dropped my draft grade. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
have a great senior year because I was in and out most of the time. Got a chance to go to the Senior Bowl, went through that process. And I didn't know, like, where I had some people saying that, I would go like third, fourth round.
Mhm.
Other people saying that, I was going to go in the 6th or 7th. But I didn't think that I wasn't going to get drafted. That never crossed my mind.
Right. You never thought that.
I was like, I know I'm getting drafted, but where?
At the least,
what
right.
round? At least I know, like, if anything, like late round.
Right.
So that was kind of how I went into the draft. And then
Yeah.
once I went undrafted, I was just like,
You couldn't believe it.
I was just looking at names, like, you know what I mean? No disrespect to any player, but I was just like, as the draft goes on, I'm just looking at names like who, from where? Like,
Right.
like the top names. You like,
Exactly,
all right, cool.
exactly.
You got your list, like, all right, he gone.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
yeah.
I'm coming up next. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And it just never happened. And I was just, man, I was sick, man. I'm not gonna lie. But the reason why I ended up going with the Jets, I had the same agent at the time as Darrelle Revis.
Okay.
So, I had like, I think at the end of the draft, I had like 10 or 11 teams that wanted to sign me as an undrafted free agent. I know it's the Patriots, the Vikings, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
It was like 10 of them, but the Jets was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like, you know what I mean? All right, I went to school in Boston. New York isn't that far. It's
Right,
like,
it's not that far from there. Yeah.
So it's not going to be a huge transition in regards to like the way of life.
Right.
And I was like, if anything, you know what I mean? If I don't play right away, I can at least, you know what I mean, learn from the best, one of the best to do it. Like, you know what I mean?
Did they have Cromartie at that time too?
Yeah, so that was the thing too. So they had him. Yeah. Like when I first got there, man, like, you go through rookie mini camp, I was balling. I did my thing. And like the coaches was loving me, all of that. And then OTAs came. And that's when the vets came, man.
Oh, yeah.
And then it changed. Like, I was like, man, coaches was just walking past me like they ain't even know me.
Like he wasn't even there.
I'm like, man, y'all was just loving me last week. Like, I'm like, but I think it was tough, I think, for me because, again, like coming from the situation I was coming from at Boston College, what I mean, being a big-time player in the conference, what I mean, thinking I was going to be a high, round draft. Yeah. And then coming in, and now they're talking about, like, special teams, you know what I mean? Like, special teams the only way you're going to make the team.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm trying to play. Like,
yeah, was that like a hit on your ego at all? Like you said, because you was a big-time player in the ACC, and now it's like they talking about you got to make the team by special teams. Like, we ain't even talking about defensive snaps.
Man, listen, man, when I first got there, like I said, when we got to training camp, my name wasn't even on the, like, depth chart. Like, they went 3 deep and then, like, had a slash, and then I wasn't even the slash. Oh, so man. I was like, man, like, and I'm thinking, like, man, I'm about to get sent home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know. Like, when you in that, like, situation, being an undrafted free agent or even a low draft pick, dude, like, you could be cut at any moment for anything.
Exactly.
Like, I've seen like some cutthroat stuff where it's like, dude catch 2-3 picks in practice and still get cut. Like, you know what I mean? Just because it's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game,
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I was just like, you never know. Like, every day you just got to make a play. You just got to do you. I think that's kind of what I think I was mentally prepared in that regards of okay, I understand this 3 Pro Bowl. Because at that time they had Antonio Cromartie, Darrelle Revis, and they had LaRon Landry.
I remember him.
Those 3 dudes were Pro Bowlers. And then they had a 10-year vet, Jeremiah Bell. Yeah, I remember him. They had Kyle Wilson. So those were the 4 starting DBs. And they had Kyle Wilson, who was a first-round draft pick. Yeah. Making, not to count his money, but he's making millions of dollars, what I mean? So I knew that those 4 dudes were going to start, like, you know what I mean? Like, they made it clear, like, these are the starters. They like, in the NFL, they're not sugarcoating anything. Like,
right, you know that.
Paying them, like, and then Kyle being a nickel, so it was like you just had to figure out a way of, like, how do you fit in? Like, you know what I mean? I just took the mindset, like, I'm gonna make a play every day, and like they're gonna have to kill me to send me home. Like, that was my mentality. Like, I'm like, definitely.
Man, like, and it seemed like you did, Because how long did you stay with them? You was there for like 2 seasons, 3
2
seasons?
years. Yeah,
Okay.
2 years. So like, I mean, I'm like I said, I was making plays, and I think they just got to a point where it was like they didn't know where, because I played corner originally. When I came in, I played corner, but they ended up moving me to safety.
Okay.
While trading camp, just to get me on the field. But I was playing literally everything, which I think was unique. Was I could play corner, I could play safety, I played nickel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had a few packages where I would come in as a third safety.
Okay.
And then I played everything on special teams. You know,
Of course. Because I remember you were active a few games, right? I remember seeing
you. Yeah. So I ended up being active. So I was on so I got signed to the practice squad week 2 or 3. I think it was week 3. I got activated. I had like a real good like week of practice. And they ended up just like, all right, cool, we're gonna bring him up. Like, you know, they're getting activated. And then that's the game where Darrell Reeves tore his ACL.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they ended up bringing in 2 veteran corners. They just really just brung me to the game just to get some experience. Like, there was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll throw you on like special teams, just, you know what I mean? Kind of reward for your, you know what I mean? Your effort,
for your efforts, the
plays you've been making in practice, like, you know.
That makes
and then
sense.
He went down, and then they brung in some other like veteran corners the next week, and then they ended up moving me to safety. But I was like on and off practice squad that whole year. I went through like 32 transactions through my rookie year. Like, it was crazy. Like, it was crazy. I was like literally in the GM office 2 times, 3 times
back
a
and
week.
forth, back and forth.
Literally, like, it was crazy. It was crazy.
How do you handle that mentally, or you just get to a point where it's just like every week you just know something, you just kind of going with it, just going along for the ride?
That's kind of how it was. Like, I mean, the first couple, like I said, the first time I got put up to the active roster was the week 3. And then they brought in a few veterans, so they put me back on practice squad because they really wanted me to play safety. You know, like I said, nickel and dime. So they really didn't need me at corner. So it was just like, it was crazy, man. Like I said, like I would literally on Monday I would come in, I'd be on practice squad Monday, Tuesday, get moved up to the active roster. Maybe I might play in a game, maybe inactive. And then the next day I would come into they'll call me in, and I'll have to be back on practice squad. So it was like I literally
every week.
It was like real stressful. I would say it was extremely stressful. Like,
I can only imagine. Just not knowing what's gonna happen, not knowing if you're gonna get traded, not knowing if you're gonna get let go.
You don't know nothing.
Not knowing if you're gonna be active, not knowing if you're gonna be in practice squad. It's so much in the air. But that's still dope that you got to experience that, man. So talk about after 2 years with the Jets. I tell guys all the time, did you ponder about going to the CFL, or after the Jets, was you just like, did you just get to the point where you was actually cool with like being done with the game?
Yeah, no. So like, as soon as I was done, when I was first done with the Jets, I like took like a year or 2, of course, training, trying to get workouts and stuff like that. And then, I mean, reality set in. It was like, okay, I'm not really hearing anything back. My agent's like, you know, I'm not really hearing anything back about you getting signed. So it was like, okay, go up to the CFL. You know, so I ended up going up to the CFL. I went through training camp, was starting, and then I got hurt. And then
what team were you with?
I was with Saskatchewan, the Rough Riders.
Saskatchewan,
Yeah, so I was with them, and then I got hurt. They released me, and then I ended up doing arena for 2 years in Cleveland, the Cleveland Gladiators, and the San Jose. And then after that, I ended up getting hurt again. I was like, man, it's not even worth it. Like, man, at this point, I'm like, ain't no out of bounds. I'm like, it's goal. I'm like,
bro, I'm telling you, like, I played arena ball 2 years, and I played after the second year I played. That's where I was at with it. Like, saying that, I'm like, man, this shit is not. I mean, my body just, I couldn't recover fast enough because hitting dudes on walls and just knees all scraped up, and I'm just like, man, and like you said, like, it ain't even worth at this point. It ain't worth it, man. So, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You good? Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, if you can remember, talk about the day you like put into your conscious mind, like, okay, I am done playing football. Was it? Did you know as next? Did you have any mixed emotions about it? Did you feel like you still wanted to play, or you just knew like, okay, I gotta use this degree and just use these avenues and resources that I had networked with all this time to figure out what I want to do next?
I think I just came to like a realization of like I was comfortable with my career, like just based on like my childhood, where I came from, like you know what I mean.
Right.
My journey, like you know what I mean. I always had the mentality in the back of my head, like I'm not supposed to be here, like you know what I mean. In regards to like you know what I mean, all the things that I've been through, like all
Exactly.
the things that were stacked up against me. You know what I
Exactly.
mean, being in foster care, you know, losing my mom at an early age, you know, growing
Exactly.
up, you know, on 79th and St. Clair, you know what I mean. It was like all of that. It was like, you know what I mean? I made it this far. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you know what I mean? I'm not supposed to be here. So when it came to that point where I wasn't hearing anything back, I feel like I was in a position where I felt like I worked as hard as I could. You know, I was doing everything. I put everything, anytime I was on the field, I always put everything I had into it.
Exactly.
Whether I was
Yeah.
training,
You gave it 1,000%.
gave it all I had. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I was comfortable with walking away and saying, hey, I didn't leave anything out there. I have no regrets. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
With my career.
That's
So once I did
that's
that,
good, man.
I think that mentally that helped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walking away with no regrets. I think that was probably the best thing for me.
Yeah. It's crazy that you say that because I remember Ted talking about that. I had Ted on a couple episodes ago, and he was just talking about how once like you know Dante went 8th overall, then he went 9th overall the next year. All the guys that played at the Ville just expected that they were supposed to make it, not understanding that it's really and truly so hard to make the NFL and stay in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like it's a less than like half than 1% chance that you know what I mean that we would put that helmet on. So the fact that like you say like we're not even supposed to be there. Like you wasn't all you coming from 79th and St. Clair. You wasn't supposed to be at Boston College starting as a freshman. You weren't supposed to be in Florida State. You weren't supposed to be playing versus Notre Dame. You're not supposed to have a degree from Boston College. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all these accomplishments, we've already done so much. And I think, like you say, we so competitive when we don't, when things don't pan out how we thought it would, like we beat ourselves up about it because we so competitive. Like, I know that I'm good enough, or I know that I was. So that's dope that you kind of already had that futuristic mindset. Like, yeah, I'm happy with what I did. I gave 1,000%. So now let's move on to the next phase.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that kind of helped me out. Like I said, going to a school like Boston College, where you get exposed to so many other things. Like one thing about the city of Boston is there's like 50 different colleges in like I think like a 10-mile radius. Like literally
wow.
at the corner, there's a college. So you have like your Harvard, MIT right down the street, Northeastern's right down. It's like schools literally everywhere. So you get exposed to so much,
so many different kinds of people and students and skill sets and networking and resources and all those things. Yeah.
So I think that kind of helped me out as well, where it was like, okay, this is what I know. Like, okay, football is only going to last so long, but I know like once this football thing is over, like, you know what I mean? I have a life to live. You know what I'm saying? I was just comfortable with like, okay, I think I was like 26. I'm 26 years old. I'm fully healthy.
Yeah, I'm healthy. I'm alive.
Walking away from the game, like I ain't, you know what I mean, like in a wheelchair. Nothing.
Right, it's a blessing.
Thank God, no crazy injuries. So I was like, it's time for me to, you know what I mean, fulfill that second half of what I went to Boston College for.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I was just comfortable with that, and I just, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna say that the transition was easy because it wasn't. Because like I said, like, you have that mentality of like, I wake up, I work out. You know what I mean? Football. Your whole life.
That schedule is so ingrained in your mind. Like, and then when you wake up the first day and you don't have to go work out, like you gotta find a job. You gotta go find a job.
man. It's real, man.
It's different.
It took me, like I said, it took me a good like 2 to 3 years to fully like adjust to like
just that schedule.
You know what I mean? Like not being consumed, you know, just with football. Like, it wasn't easy. Like,
Same here.
I'm not gonna say it was easy at all, but I mean, I'm blessed enough to, you know, have gone through that, you know, that time period, and you know what I mean. I feel like I'm, you know, in a good position now. So
definitely, man. So after those 2 to 3 years, when you finally kind of figured out what you wanted to do, I mean, now I see what you did with your digital marketing company, 7/9. I mean, because you're from 79. So I see what you did there. That's dope. But after the 2-3 years, like, how were you able to kind of get well, obviously it's never comfortable balancing a full-time job and being a business in order to get your business endeavors off the ground and get them to where you want to get them to. How have you been able to balance both? I'm sure a lot of the lessons and things you learned from football, you kind of put into your work ethic now. And I'm sure, I mean, you look like you're still in shape. So I'm sure you probably still hit the gym a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
So just that scheduling, how are you able to balance nowadays?
Yeah. No, I like it's tough. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say that it's easy, but I think, like you said, being a football player and having to balance going to class, practicing, having some type of a social life, like, all of that, like, it helped me when I became, you know what I mean, a business owner, and kind of took my, my talents to the
workforce. Yeah.
It helped me out a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Just having those skill sets, having that structure, having that discipline, and just understanding. I think it's a different type of work ethic when it comes, and that's something that I had to learn. It was a learning process for me.
It's more mental.
Like, it's more mental than it is physical. Like, you know what I mean? I was used to just wake up, grind. You can't do that. Like, when you own a business, like, it's a different type of grind. Like, you have to find ways to make
it's a mental grind. Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, or you'll burn out. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I think that's helped me out tremendously. And I've had a lot of mentors kind of like throughout my whole journey, like that's like been kind of guiding me and like helping me, you know. So I think that's been tremendous as well. Like, not only like just working and just grinding, but having people that you can go to when you don't know something, or
just having those mentors and resources to go to where you can be because I feel like a lot of business owners, especially when they're first starting out, they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want people to know that they don't know a question, like an answer to this question, or they don't really know, or they're kind of afraid to reach out to people. And so that's cool that you kind of had that, and have those people to reach out to, when you need an answer to a question.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think that was another thing that was kind of good for me was I'm never afraid to ask. If I don't know something, I'm going to ask, So I think that was always like kind of helpful for me. And I'll pick up the phone, call somebody. Like, I'm not afraid to reach out. Like,
exactly.
So
you got to.
There's no pride when it comes to me. You know what I mean? If I want something, I'm going to get it. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it. I've always had that mentality, whether it was football or business or whatever I'm doing.
Definitely, man. Definitely. That's great right there. Last question, man. Like I said, I call this the After Effect podcast. What would you say is Donnie Fletcher's after effect, right? All the wins, all the losses, all the injuries, all the pain, all the sorrow, all the good times, the celebrations throughout your entire career. Local Cleveland star, Boston College star, playing the NFL, playing the CFL, playing the AFL. Now you're a business owner. What is Donnie Fletcher's after effect? What are some lessons that you learned that you would take and ingratiate into your business acumen now, possibly in the future once you have a family? What are some of those lessons?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is like work ethic. I think understanding where you are, understanding like your weaknesses and turning those into your strengths. I think that's something that I've taken that from football to business to everything. Like, just understanding, okay, this is my weakness, this is what I'm not good at, and then turning that into your strengths, and then just working. Like, it's really, I feel like for me, I wasn't the biggest, fastest, and strongest, but I had a mentality that I want something and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get it.
Exactly.
Like, so that, I think it's more mental than it is anything. Like, having the right mentality is tremendous. Like, that could take you a long way. Like, so that's what I would say.
And it's funny that you say mentality, because one thing, and I'm going home the last week in October. Hopefully I can get up to the Ville to talk to the football team, talk to the basketball team. But we have to realize that being from Cleveland, like we have an advantage because we already in anything we do, our mentality is so like, no, I don't care what it is I gotta do, I'm gonna do it. Like, we always got that dog mentality, and so whatever we decide to do, 9 out of 10 times we're gonna succeed as long as we can bring that mentality into whatever we're doing. And when you think about coming from the inner city, sometimes you think that could work for you as a disadvantage, but it can really work for you, as a positive advantage, as long as we take advantage of it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Like I said, I think mentality is the number one thing like for success, if you ask me.
Exactly.
Because if you aren't mentally like into whatever you're doing and you don't understand like the work ethic that it takes, I think that's what a lot of kids struggle with today is like, you know, especially when it comes to the football thing, is they think that, you know,
it's
they're
gonna come
just
easy.
supposed to be handed to them. Like,
Right.
no, like you got to work for it. Like
you got to work really hard for it, and you still might not get it.
Yeah, and dealing with that too, though, like because you got to understand, like life is about peaks and valleys. Like you know, like you're gonna be high sometimes, you're gonna be low sometimes, but how can you stay even keel throughout that? Mentally,
how can you maneuver through all those valleys and just keep going, never quitting, never stopping, but just keep going? Yeah,
and having that mentality that like, okay, this is my end goal, this is what I want, and when you get to that point when you start struggling, being able to, you know, push through. I think that's the toughest thing. That's just a life lesson, period.
Exactly.
Because you look at all these successful people out here, whether it's football, entertainment, whatever business, they're successful. You only see the end result. You see the success.
They didn't give up.
The glamour, but you don't see the times when they're, you know what I mean?
I'm telling you.
Long, grinding, like, you know what I mean? Show that part of it.
Exactly.
But that's the process that gets you to, you know what I mean?
Where you want to go.
Where you want to go.
Exactly. Man, well, again, I appreciate you carving out some time, bro. I know you're super, super busy, man. Happy Sunday. Hope you have a great week. And we'll
all right, appreciate it, bro, man. It was good talking to you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Take it easy, man.
Yep. See you, man.
All right. So again, I appreciate Donnie Fletcher. Again, he works in finance in New York City, and he also is a business owner, has his own digital marketing program. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 23. Excited to just keep having these conversations and shedding light on, you know, that transition out of sports. All right. So until next time, peace.